But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the path of Destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Bernardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. I think we're gonna go temple this time. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis Stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Renato. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous.
Yes, it did.
It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting.
Interesting. I hope I get a mighty ostrich steed.
Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in the buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Alright. So let's try to find this stone. Might possibly upgrade another weapon. Hopefully. Doesn't look like it. Getting all this HP now when I don't need it. Whatever that trophy is, running out of pockets.
The air here tasted bitter. Steps were too tall for a person. The entire place felt restless, like it had been vexed to nightmare under the dust, waiting for its hour to come around at last. What are you guys dressed up as for Halloween? Just wondering. Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Once, he found a Superman issue #1 in mint condition in a jar he'd broken. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series. Someone needs a bath.
can go back and use that skill point. I can. I've unlocked level 4 skills. Oh. That sounds great. I kind of want to get that.
More and more extraordinary.
You need a lot of skill points. I'm thinking you need to stand still to heal, but that's not the case. Looks like this is gonna be a nice
That
sword.
is a very cool sword, thought Renata. No, seriously. He couldn't feel his paw anymore.
Some of these jokes, I mean, I love cheesy humor. And these are definitely cheesy. Another piece of the story. Okay. Instructions to live by.
He was sort of yanking his own chain, wasn't he?
Yeah, stupid humor. Love it. Wait, was there something over here? Think I can hook? Doesn't look like it. Stupid.
I never felt bad for littering, but these are short on trash cans.
Dude. I know that's probably my favorite move, is just to like, get him and launch him. Starting to catch the flow again a little bit, at least for now. I don't want to have to go through another like 12-minute dying phase because that was terrible. Hello.
Fresh socks, thought Renato. Please be fresh socks.
Physical resistance. It's a new one. Wouldn't mind it, but I kind of like these gauntlets the way they are. And... okay. 34 more ore, and I got all the sword. Almost all the swords done.
Renato was running out of ideas. Zenobia loved him to death. The Sky Ripper destroyed everything. and Lapino was a filthy traitor. Using a stone named for an evil god seemed, unwise. But what else was there?
Kinda out of options, yeah. Okay.
Maybe I should follow my nose, thought Renato.
Oh, yeah. Shield breaker level 3. Kinda wish I had a better attack one. Maybe killing these enemies faster would help. Oof.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with Tomb Raiders.
Speaking of Tomb Raider, that movie was terrible. Sorry. It was just bad. Plot was bad. Just bad.
A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
Elon Muskrat. Two seconds, okay. I'm a puzzle genius. Now look, Infinity Stone.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Renato wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "What's the core?" said the stone anxiously.
Yeah, I know.
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there.
Cool. Should unlock a last
The
truth.
moment he landed the Farfarer, Reynardo had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late.
No, we're not killing her. We're gonna do this plan. Yes, that one. Sorry, I'm not gonna read these two. I can't stand people that read these things. Like, it just, ugh. What this stone's gonna do? It's gonna like cause me to go crazy.
You brushed. Oh.
Okay. Have that weird glow now. Oh, hello.
Reynardo remembered when he'd first stolen one of these. Good times.
Gotta get that 60 combo. I don't know how I'm gonna do it though. Let's see.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Interesting.
He hadn't noticed that path before.
We've never gone this way, so of course he didn't know it. Just saying.
You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. So these had to be Imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead. It was a bit windy up here.
I don't think I could have made that skyhook. Nothing up here. Okay. Say out of all these that
Boy,
I've
someone
opened, I
has
haven't
spent a lot
actually
of
gotten,
money for a
like, a
graduation
lot of
present.
materials.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. "The core will kill you." "Are you afraid of it?" "No, don't be ridiculous," it chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if so much as carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Bernardo did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards.
We did learn it's gonna blow up and, like, murder everyone, so...
Not everyone knew how to use magical gems.
there's
Of
that.
course, not everyone had magical gem gauntlets like he did.
What's this do? Oh, turns that off.
What was the point of this gate?
Turn that off.
Did they think no one would notice the lever?
Can't use the altar? Not a level? I don't think Indiana did it. There it is.
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. No, it's too much power. We'll rip a hole in space and time. He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out. When Ronaldo came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out. And, "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Let's go and destroy
As the
everything.
Farfarer sailed towards the Nexus, Bernardo wondered if the core had been created to silence the stone, or even to feed its hunger. Honestly, he didn't care. He felt terrific, and he appreciated the quiet inside his head.
Now, if you play video games like I have, Something's not right. Something bad's gonna happen to this.
The Nexus was infested with ravens, but that didn't bother Renato. With each death, the converted Iblis stone in his gauntlets glowed brighter, and he felt stronger. Wow. He was getting a bit bloodthirsty, wasn't he? Well, he wasn't worried. He was a warrior. They're supposed to be bloodthirsty.
Kill all the ravens. Ravens.
Take a leap of faith, said the inscription.
A lot of different video game references in this. I mean, I'm completely okay with it. It's awesome. I've not found a workbench I can use yet, though.
Don't look down, he thought.
I like my regular hero sword.
Okay, let's get this over with, and we can all go home. Well, not you, just me.
There we go.
This stone was incredibly
Attack
valuable.
speed.
Bernardo could sense it. Also, it still had its price tag. The core, absorbed in the stone, was doing its job perfectly. Bernardo could feel a little eldritch jolt every time he downed a raven, but then it flowed into the glowing stone the way water flows down a riverbed. It all felt perfectly natural, as if all his life, this was what he had been meant to do.
Sense of purpose in life is useful.
With the core absorbed in the stone, Bernardo had enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet. First, he would disrupt the enemy communication lines. Then, he would head for the rebel base. From there, the rebellion would launch its final attack.
Crit chance, shield breaker. I mean, increases your attack speed by 20%. That's pretty huge. Let's keep it like this for right now. And I should be able to upgrade something, right? I need 100. Got it. Okay. Just cleaving these guys' path. Okay. Wicked.
Renato tore through the last remaining guards at the outpost like hot coffee through snow. There was a far speaker toad here. He called the council speaker. He knew she would be thrilled. And she was. She wanted him to come back to base. They had plans to discuss, and a medal to give him. A large, golden medal. Great, said Renato. Let's talk about who else I can kill. Then the far speaker croaked again.
Hello, Renato,
He said.
If you get sick of slaughtering second-rate birds in the Nexus, I'm waiting for you in the mountains.
Zenobia. She missed him. She loved him. Once she saw how awesome he'd become, maybe she'd join him. They'd kiss and... Well, if she did refuse for some reason, he was no match for him now.
I am gonna go get the medals.
Zenobia was taunting him. No doubt she hoped to lure him into a trap. Well, he was nobody's sucker. Especially not hers. He carried victory in his gauntlet. He would go where the council pointed him.
And where did the council point me? Oops.
As he set foot on the island, Renato felt energized, like when he was hunting or dancing. Then he smelt it, the stench of ravens. It was a good thing he was here too, before they tripped over the secret base. He was really saving the council toad's bacon, so to speak.
More.
This was way better than being able to shrink down to the size of an ant. What was that all about, anyway?
See, I wonder how I can get those. Because I have to collect 50 feathers from fallen ravens, but I don't know really how to do that. There's a workbench over there which you can't use yet. Hello, fancy door. I'll take you. Always go for the secret
What's behind
doors.
door number 2?
At least I think so. Get some more resistance, that would be good too. Where do I need to go? What's up? So I took this path. Can't go there. There's that one. Okay, let's go here. Lightning balls on.
See? Renato was a hero of the revolution. He deserved a medal. Soon he'd deserve every medal they had, and
All the
hopefully
medals.
one big medal ceremony in front of everybody with trumpets so everyone could know what he'd accomplished.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling about that.
Open, says me.
I don't know why, but slicing those guys in half is so satisfying. Especially when you can chain all of them together. Like an assassin. Give me a heal.
The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Trophy? Trophy? I got 60 combo. Don't tell me it was 65. I don't think I dropped it. There it is. Combo breaker. Break every pot.
There had to be something useful in these things, didn't there?
Mental resistance. I think it might have every little 3 gem. Check. That was pretty quick.
Inside the rebel base, Renato was invited to the council speaker's private chambers. So, this is the Iblis stone? He said. I can feel its power. Renato told her how he had fed the core to the stone and made something even more useful than either. Crazy like a fox, she croaked.
Sees a fox.
And Renato chuckled as if he'd never heard the joke before. We've given you the best quarters and a bottle of Tantalonian firewater, all for you. So they'd remembered. He woke in the morning with the sweetest of hangovers. But the Iblis stone was gone from his gauntlet.
Oh no.
The corridors were empty, except for a few rebels who looked just as hungover as him. Come on, you'll miss the battle, they yelled. Renato added sail as the Farfarers scudded across the sky. Who could have taken the Iblis stone? Was it some Imperial spy? He would find him, and kill him, and take the stone back.
It's my stone. My stone of power.
Renato had a bad taste in his mouth. He was killing ravens, but it wasn't fun. It felt like a chore. Renato hated chores. As a fox kid, he'd gone hungry rather than clean his room. He still didn't clean his room, he just moved house every few years. Who had the Iblis stone anyway? Up ahead, he could hear screaming and croaking and cawing. But who was winning?
Give me that. close to sword upgrade, so maybe the next story we do, be able to get one.
Or I could go that way, he thought.
And we will. Because there's always a chest up here. Nothing in it, though.
As he ran forward, Renato noticed that some ravens were starting to ignore him. Just running away. Who were they running from? Some hero of the revolution? If some other so-called hero of the revolution had the stone and tried to take his victory and his medals, Renato was going to be seriously pissed off. He was the hero, not some other bozo. Renato told the corpses. It was something he'd seen in a play once.
Okay, I comboed.
There was a sign. Take the goat across first.
I don't use my dash nearly enough. See what happens here this time. Just like how sometimes it would cleave right to the soul. So who has my stone?
Finally, Renato came to the Emperor's ship. Zenobia lay dead in front of it. The ship was a wreck. Ravens lay dead, sprawled everywhere. Bloody feathers spattered across the deck and the dock. The council speaker came out. She was waving a sword around like a flag. "Look at me, Renato!" She croaked. The Iblis stone on the sword was black as coal. "Now I will be Empress, and all shall tremble before me," she croaked. So the stone had her. It was in her brain, whining for blood. "I'm afraid I can't allow that," said Renato, and moved to fight her. Toads are not usually good with swords. Something about the footwork. And the council speaker was not even a warrior. She was always tripping over things, which is quite an impressive achievement when you're a toad. Yet somehow, she was pressing Renato backwards as he desperately tried to keep her sword away from his throat. "Look, why don't you keep the stone?" he asked. You deserve it. Blood and souls for Iblis, she croaked. Blood and souls. She got under his guard with her sword. It was just the tip. But sometimes just the tip is enough. He could feel his soul being sucked into the stone. As he died, he felt embarrassed more than anything else. Oh, damn it. He lost again, and died. But there was Burning Ubar behind him. He still had all his destinies ahead of him. But he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it.
Okay. So I don't know what this... Oh, that's what that is. Cool. So I am going to cut here for a minute, and then we're going to do one more story. Okay? Right back.